Hi, everybody. This is Todd Schaefer and Kira Schaefer coming to you in this podcast episode. And today we're going to do an introduction to one of my favorite topics, the Myers-Briggs typology system.
Oh my gosh.
Myers-Briggs. Have you heard of it? The focus of my talk is how valuable Myers-Briggs typology inventory is, type indicator. I call it MBTI. I talk about it in my book a little bit, which is called Selling Emotionally Transformative Services. And also we've used it in business quite a bit. And there's other typologies you can use. The first thing I want to say about these typologies is that they're not meant to put you in a box or limit you. They're only meant to help you understand yourself a little bit better so that you can leverage your best strengths, kind of thing. So for example, and there's all kinds of places you can take a free MBTI test. There's extensive tests you can take that are online that you can pay for, and there's also lots of free ones out there. Just to let you know, I recommend that you do take a binary test, which gives you one or the other option if you are going to take a test, as opposed to a self-ranking test where you get to agree, neutral, disagree, that kind of stuff. Not an accurate test. Don't do those. I'm a huge fan of the people at personalityhacker.com. They offer a free 10-minute test, and it's exceptionally accurate, and they give you great feedback on your MBTI type, and they have a killer podcast as well. And this is Joel Mark Witt and Antonia Dodge do that website. Just phenomenally insightful people. So, Myers-Briggs, what the hell is it? So, my type is, you get a 4-letter type when you take a test. There's 16 different types. My type, for example, is an INFJ, just like Kira, which means introverted, intuitive, feeler, and judging, okay? Not judgmental, but judging as a perceiving process. And what's really interesting about that is that when you learn about your type, I mean, the 4 letters stand for 4 different things. You're actually all 8 types. The introvert or extrovert, intuitive or sensing, thinking or feeling, perceiving or judging. You're actually all 8 of those types, but you're dominant in 4 of those types. For me, I'm very extroverted, but I'm dominantly introverted. So INFJ, right? Introverted means I tend to define my world and reality through my inner world, my inner self, not my outer self. Intuitive versus sensing. Sensing means I tend to use my 5 senses to sense my reality. Intuitive means I tend to use pattern recognition from my internal self to determine my reality. Okay? Does that make sense so far?
Yep.
Yeah. Thinking or feeling simply means am I dominant in making decisions with my feelings or with my thinking? Basic is what that means. And then perceiving or judging is kind of a tricky one. Perceiving means do I like to be really solid on the inside and then really solid and structured on the inside and then go explore my outer world? Or as a judging function, do I like to have a lot of structure on the outside so that I can go explore my internal world? And that's basically it. So all different kinds of combinations with these different things. And like I said, if you take a test like I recommended, you can get explanations. Even if once you know your 4-letter type, you can just type in Myers-Briggs, INFJ, or whatever, and find thousands of websites and YouTube videos to get all different kinds of perspectives about what your type is. Again, not meant to put you in a box here with this, but what it is meant to do is to help you leverage your strengths and work with the grain, with your natural strengths and things that inspire you, versus not working against the grain. Maybe you were taught that, most of you are probably going to be intuitive feelers listening to this. You probably taught you had to approach the world in a certain way, or you have to have a certain kind of job or a certain kind of career or whatever. And maybe that didn't feel very right for you and true for you, kind of like it was for me. Well, that's because, people in my circle of influence were largely not intuitive feelers. So they took a different approach to life than I do. Right? So that's kind of one thing. But there's so many wonderful things you can do just to learn how to better leverage your strengths. You probably already know what some of your strengths are, but this would help you even more. And you can even have your clients take a free 10-minute test before you even start working with them, and then use their results to help reach them and create better results for them in your sessions with your clients, which is super exciting to me. So, it's really wonderful to be able to get clients better results, which ends up getting you more business, more referrals, better reviews, that kind of thing, because you have a better working knowledge about how you function and how to grow yourself effectively, which is really fun to me.
Very true. When working with clients, I know I had them take the personality hacker test, and it just cut down my
learning curve
significantly. Because if I saw they were an ISTP or something like that, then I could go, okay, so, now I barely can remember anymore, but ISTP, I think they tend to be more like kind of loyal and but still introverted, and they still want to create things. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that because I don't quite know. But if I was able to look at somebody and go, okay, so here are some basic information. Here's some basic information. Not putting them in a box, but it was so funny because they would think I was reading their mind when I would say something like, so you tend to be incredibly loyal and you're having a difficult time finding a career because you aren't okay with committing to one thing because you feel like you're really good at a bunch of things. And they would be like, oh my God, how did you know that? And it was so cool because you gain that insight right away, and it really helps them to be seen. And when somebody is seen, they can feel loved and feel more hopeful and believe that you're the right person to help them. And you are, because if you're going down this path, I'm telling you, man, it just exceeds a lot of what other people may be doing in their practices. So
absolutely,
it can be very beneficial.
Absolutely, great comments. And I'll piggyback on that and say the reason that MBTI is so helpful is because it tells you about your and your clients' thinking processes and your decision-making processes. Other tests out there, like the DISC method, like dominant, influencer, steadfast, compliant, I think, those are good too. I've seen those used in the workplace and stuff, but those are mostly behavior focused. They just talk about the end result of who the person is. And guess what? Behaviors can be changed. Your DISC now is not going to be the DISC you take, the DISC results you take 10 years from now necessarily. Your behaviors could be different, and how you show up might be different. Life events might determine that cause you to act differently. Maybe you became a parent since the last time you did that. Your whole priorities had changed. So, but MBTI, my Myers-Briggs, is the same it's been since 4th grade or 5th grade. 99% of the time it's not going to change for people. Your cognitive processes are more hardwired into you than any of your behavior processes. So, like Kira said, brilliant comment, being able to talk to people and cut down the learning curve on how people think and make decisions helps us as clients to be more effective, as coaches, to be more effective for our clients. I mean, imagine how much time we're saving trying to get to know somebody by simply already understanding what their thinking and decision-making archetypes tend to be.
Yeah. Super
helpful. And like she said, the client feels seen, heard, accepted, and loved kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you can save a ton of time. They might think that, can you imagine not having a tool set like this and just trying to figure out somebody.
It took me forever. It really did. It took me forever. Because we did like this big thing. Remember Agnes? We did that thing.
Yeah, we used to have a giant questionnaire inventory.
Nobody would do it.
And nobody would do it. It took forever to do, and this is before we discovered MBTI, and a couple people did it, and we're having to sift through answers and all this stuff. It's still not entirely sure how the client thought about things or what the issues were. I mean, you're working on the symptoms instead of the roots, and if you can get to the roots, I mean, not only can you be more effective and save time, but you can also find out. You can also speak their language early on. Yeah, and that eliminates a lot of barriers.
And when you're ready, you want to get more deeper into this with Todd, more with Todd than with me probably. What I found fascinating when I started really understanding this better was that. Todd was saying to me, oh, well, I could show you in your MBTI what makes you happy, and I can also show in your MBTI what makes you sad or upset or angry, and then how to switch lanes, and what you need to do in order to switch lanes. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. But I'm sure that's for another podcast.
I already know what I want to talk about for that podcast.
Okay, perfect.
The cognitive functions,
the
car
cognitive
model.
Loop, the cognitive loop.
Right.
And that's really, really cool. The other thing that I learned when it came to MBTI is how to sell someone in their own language, in their own MBTI language. Mm-hmm. What is it that drives them to buy your service or your product? And with NFs, it's all about community and connection, and will their family be, involved? Is there something that's going to be really beneficial that will help the whole, not just them? If you're looking at it as ST, they're going to be more, what are my results? What am I getting? What can I do for either the least amount of effort? What is the thing I can do for the least amount of effort on my part to get the result that I'm looking for?
Right.
And so once you know how to speak the language, then every bit of your marketing can be tailored to whom you like to work with the best. And so there's just so much to this, but I think that's a good starting place.
Really good.
Yeah.
So well said. I get so excited about this.
I do too.
Yeah. Your STs, your sensor thinkers are generally going to be more results oriented. Your intuitive feelers are generally going to be more process oriented. As it's very completely different mindset and decision making methods. So and you probably, if you're a life coach or a healer of some sort, you might have encountered these different personality types. Maybe if you didn't know about MBTI and really see and feel a difference in these different types of people who come in, but you didn't know what made them different necessarily. Maybe you thought they had different values or a different job or whatever kind of thing, but more than likely it's their decision-making processes and how they approach life. And if it was very different from yours, your processes, you might have had a bit more challenge relating to them or coming to the same thing because you communicate differently, you speak different languages to get where you want to go. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons that MBTI can be a amazing tool if you are in the holistic service industry and do any kind of coaching or working with clients. And we are out of time. We will talk more about this in the future. Super fun topic.
That's a good one.
Thanks for letting me go on and on. And thanks for your comments. They were really, really good.
Thank you, Todd.
And we will talk to you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you ever considered being a published author? At As You Wish Publishing, we help make book publishing accessible for aspiring authors. Take a look at our website at www.asyouwishpublishing.com and look at our collaborative books that you may want to be a part of.